What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Box to Box. My name is Harry Hicks, and this is Max Botcher, and this is Thomas McKeon.
Yeah, that's right.
How are you guys doing?
Up? Doing all right. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
How's the week going? We're a little early this week. We're going on a Tuesday rather than Wednesday.
I know. People are going to be freaking out. They're going to know.
No.
They're going to know by, I don't know, by something.
We're going on tour this weekend in Nashville, so we had to switch the schedule around a little bit.
All our fans. We're going to put on a live show for our live audience.
Live podcast, yeah. Anyway, to get into the soccer business, let's start off with Jesse Marsch to Leeds. Anyone have any initial thoughts on that one?
I feel like it's obviously a tough job. They're close to relegation, but he also doesn't have a job right now.
Right.
And that's probably the only job he would get because no one else is really willing to take that job.
Yeah, I saw like an article which is like Jesse Marsch like tearing his way through Europe, but he's not really. He kind of got fired from Leipzig, and it's a Leeds job that is an injury-riddled Leeds team that Bielsa Yes, Bielsa ran the kids to death, and I think that's part of why they are in a regulation battle right now. But also, Calvin Phillips is injured. Half their team is injured. It's a tough position to be in, and it's not the job you want to go into. I still think Leeds are probably going to get relegated. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to turn around, especially with Newcastle rising, and I'm not sure. But still, it's another challenge for Jesse Marsch, our potential U.S. men's national team coach.
I think it's good from that perspective, from an American perspective. I'm excited to see him in the Premier League and hopefully succeeding a little bit more than he did at Leipzig. I also know Brendan Aronson has been pretty heavily linked with Leeds, so if they can kind of make that connection work as well.
Mm-hmm. He fits right in. As definitely a player that
he fits right in, I think.
Leeds.
And from like an American perspective, that's exciting to see, but also from like a U.S. men's national team perspective, that's great to have Brendan Aronson playing in the Premier League, where it's a little bit more competitive, and playing with Jesse Marsch, who at some point in his career will likely coach the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, hopefully. I was hoping it was going to be like very soon, but probably not. Did Marsch coach Aronson at Salzburg?
I think so.
Yeah. So I guess that's probably the connection. But yeah, I mean, I think Leeds will still not get relegated with Marsch, and I think their biggest problem is their play style. Like they play like all out attack, which is super fun to watch, but they also let in a ton of goals because they send everyone forward.
Right.
I think they've let in the most goals in the Prem by a margin, like a big margin. So if he can cut that down, I mean, they have injuries, but that's the biggest problem. I mean, Newcastle winning, I think, their last 5 games or last 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah, but I think they can still beat out Norwich, Watford, and Burnley.
Yeah,
I think they can.
They're down. Like,
yeah, I think it's them.
Them
and Burnley.
They have maybe
I would
6
watch.
points.
Yeah. Norwich and Watford,
They're done.
They're done, but I think Burnley might have a chance to.
Burnley,
I think that's
honestly,
race.
Everton's right in around there as well.
Actually.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But we got Super Frank.
Yeah, well, I think,
Frankie Lampard.
That's why Everton and Leeds both got new coaches, because they don't want to be relegated. So it's kind of a last ditch effort almost.
Right.
Yeah. It's honestly been hard for Marsch because when he went to Leipzig, like Leipzig just lost Nagelsmann. So he's the new coach. They just lost their captain, Sabitzer, and their best defender, Upamecano.
Right.
And so right away, he didn't perform well, but he was on a very short leash, I feel like. Yeah. So as soon as he wasn't doing well, like they fired him, in the fall, right away.
Yeah, I'd like to see him prevent a relegation and then have a nice reset and be able to put his system in. Because I don't understand how you come into Leeds and who've been in this insane system for 4 years now, and switch it up in a half a year. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's got to be quick. If he wasn't American, he would have gotten a longer leash in Germany.
You think?
Actually, yes. Because I think there is there's like a stereotype of like American coaches in Europe, and how like maybe they don't perform or they haven't historically performed. But yes, honestly, I do think so. If he wasn't American, if he was any other German coach, I think they would have like let it ride out until at least the winner.
Yeah, I mean, also Leipzig did suck.
Yes, they were bad.
Under
and
him, they were really bad.
A huge club. I mean, they're a top
Yeah,
3
they
club
expect,
in
and I
Germany.
think honestly, I think with their funding, they don't want to take that chance because there have been so much on the up over the past couple seasons. I think they were doing so poor under Jesse Marsch. They didn't want to take that chance. So yeah, I do think that could have played a factor, but also I think it's understandable.
And they're playing better now, so
right.
that's
so it
that's
seems like it was
something
seems like it was a good move. So before we jump into our Carabao Cup review and match of the week, let's first talk about Chelsea, who have had a little bit of an up and down week. Mostly down, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's all down.
I think it's probably all down, yeah. We can start off with Christensen, who looks to have agreed to a deal with FC Barcelona.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, hopefully, seems like the first of a couple defenders on the way out. This seems to be the first one confirmed. It's kind of him going to FC Barcelona. You know, I think makes sense for him. Honestly, I think it's kind of a good move. He'll probably get paid more, and Barcelona have been playing very well recently.
Yeah.
You know, he'll have definitely a key role, and I think he probably sees himself having a key role there for a while.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good move for him career-wise. Also, I assume he just hasn't felt valued at Chelsea since he hasn't really been a consistent starter. He didn't really get the money he wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's been a constant thread in this podcast is pay our defenders. It's the heart of our team, and they're really not getting paid, not getting the respect. I feel like Christensen could have been the heir to Thiago Silva's throne right now in the back of our defense, in the center, because that's where he really thrives, is the center. He is capable of playing that right center back position, but if he's going to Barcelona, I can see him taking over Piqué and be a more like actually the big defender in that back four. Just disappointing. Like honestly, for Christensen,
I think for Christensen,
that's good. Yeah. It would be another year of being behind Thiago Silva for that center position. So if he goes and starts for Barcelona, that's a pretty good,
It's also like Barcelona's like an up and coming team right now. You know what I mean? And that's like weird to say, but they're trending in the right direction. And he's obviously going to be a starter there with Araujo, I think, is the other one.
Yeah,
and that's
Araujo's
like those are good center backs,
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And then Aspie now too. Like
we can jump into that too. It seems I think that's not fully confirmed, but Barcelona have a bid out to him, the contract till 2024, I believe. I'm not sure the amount, but that's a longer contract than he would get at Chelsea. And for him also, it kind of makes sense going back to Spain.
Yeah,
I'm sure is exciting. Kind of last big move of his career.
He was there for like 10 years though, and that's the big bummer of it is.
Well, yeah, but also I think from his perspective, he's kind of came what he needed to do. He won the Champions League.
Yeah, that is true.
He won the Club World Cup, so he kind of checked the boxes that I assume he wanted to at Chelsea.
Yeah, and if he gets to go to Barcelona after Chelsea, I mean, he's not starting over Reece James. He's not starting for Chelsea, so it is more. I assume he'll kind of share time with Dest. I'm not sure if Dest is the future of Barcelona either.
Yeah.
So I think he might be there for a couple of years as kind of a backup, kind of able to play right back and just get some minutes as a more experienced player.
Right.
Which is good for Barcelona and for Aspie.
Honestly, he might start. Honestly,
I think he'll start over Dest probably.
And Alves is on a 1-year deal, I think, so he's going to be gone,
right?
And he'll start probably. And he'll have
honestly,
like
and that's for them, for Barcelona, that's a great double signing.
Yeah,
you can get guys that have connection and chemistry already.
Yes.
Who are out winning trophies, and you can get them both on a free. That's pretty good business from them. Poor business from Chelsea, but I don't know if you guys have any initial thoughts. I haven't thought about it too much, but who could replace these two guys at Chelsea? I think the biggest, while you guys are thinking a little bit, I think the biggest name that Chelsea has been linked with has been Jules Koundé. And he seems like the guy Tuchel wants. Honestly, I don't know if I'm fully sold on Koundé. I think he's good. He's young. He's fast. but also the only ever news I hear of him is being like disastrous at right back or getting a red card. I think he's had like 3 red cards this season already, which is kind of absurd. And like, yes, obviously some players get more reds than others.
Ramos.
Right. But it's not like,
it's not a good stat.
It's not like he has the huge defensive ability to back that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's who I think right away, obviously, because they've been in contact with him for the last year. But I don't know who else. I mean, the first thing I think about is they have to sign Rudiger now, because then that's 3 players that leave on a free.
Right.
And then it's most of your defense is gone. So can we like almost like lock in like Chelsea is going to sign Rudiger?
Hopefully.
I don't know, but hopefully, yeah.
And
I think out of all of them, we've talked repeatedly that he's the one that they should back.
Yes.
I think they've also talked about Matthias de Ligt, potentially. Another guy that I'm not really fully sold on.
I would rather have like Tomori or back or Guehi, who also left. Just like players from the Chelsea academy.
Yeah,
just bring them back.
They're all playing.
They're gone.
So well,
yes, they're playing. Yeah,
they can't do that.
Give me some Livramento. Give me Tammy back.
But the thing is, they can't do that because that's just like humiliating to them. They're just losing money outright. Where it'd make more sense to buy someone new, I guess, from their perspective.
Do you have anyone on your mind besides Koundé?
No, because I don't really want Koundé. I don't really want de Ligt. Araujo would be sick, but I don't. There's no way Barcelona would sell him. I wouldn't.
Yeah, Sule would have been great.
Sule would have been great, but that's out the door too.
There's no one really else on the market that I can think of, which is annoying. Really annoying.
It'll be tough. It'll be interesting. I mean, this is also a case where sometimes we say, oh, Chelsea might get someone to fill this position. Well, now they have to.
Mm-hmm. They have to, which is
they need to make a signing.
Great when everyone in the world knows that you have to, so you can just like pump up the prices.
Yeah,
it's not the position. Yeah, and like, what's our lineup right now? It would be Rudiger and Thiago Silva and Sarr. And that's like all we have as center back options, which is already we're pretty like thin. Having only like 5 center backs in a 3 in the back system,
right?
So it's kind of
ridiculous.
Chalobah.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
He would start over Sarr.
Chalobah would be on the right side. Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, he's kind of positioned to fill in as a permanent starter,
right? And that's what
we need some depth.
We need some depth, and it could come from the academy, because like Chalobah, has been very good for Chelsea. I think Tomori would be equally as good. Guehi would be equally as good. Just like players coming from the academy, all have proven that when they're in the system and they're not like when they get a chance, they actually step to the plate. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure if there's any great options right now at center back. It seemed like we had a couple of years of a bunch of players that are now starting for Palace, for AC Milan. So we'll see.
Yeah. And this is kind of all capped off, I think, by the elephant in the room, where Roman Abramovich might have to sell Chelsea, and seemingly will have to sell Chelsea sooner as opposed to later, obviously due to the conflict in Ukraine. So,
yeah, I mean, it's one of the biggest assets in football, I feel like, or one of the biggest assets in sports, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people interested, but also very few that can maybe pay that much money.
It's an interesting situation.
We'll have to sell at a crazy discount because he's going to lose control of it.
Yeah.
There's a couple variables that are kind of interesting. He came out that statement that he sees himself as the custodian of the club, and he's like relinquishing stewardship of the club. I read an article that basically said that means nothing in English law. There's no such thing as a stewardship. He's just like trying to distance himself and try to like seem like he's relinquishing power. He said he's relinquishing power to the charity, or like it's kind of the board of charity. That's not really able to happen because there's a couple people on that board who are one guy is in charge of a organization that is basically a law firm that checks all the clubs for for like misconduct. It's basically creates cases against those clubs. So that creates like a he can't be the board of, he can't have control of Chelsea if he's part of it. It's a conflict of interest, exactly. So like that's, if Abramovich's assets are frozen, it's going to be interesting to see how they delegate, Chelsea's ownership. Also,
yeah, well, I think honestly, what I think is going to happen most likely is that it will be sold pretty soon. Honestly, over the next 4 days or something.
It might be sold by the airing of this video.
Yeah,
but then I think that will be the case because yes, Chelsea is a huge asset, but people or firms or groups that have the money would love to buy Chelsea. And I think a lot of people have put out bids or wanted to buy it
in the past.
Maybe. In the past, and Abramovich hasn't wanted to because he's seemingly been a big supporter, enjoyed his ownership of Chelsea.
Right. I think
so people would jump at the chance to buy it.
The caveat is Chelsea, the club, is $1.4 billion in debt to Roman Abramovich, which is basically why it's like
together, yeah.
He just, which is as I don't want to like dish out praise to Abramovich right now because he is kind of very closely linked to Putin, but it is kind of a political move to tie Chelsea to his basically prop up the club to his company, and you can't, if you sell it, fine, but then you owe Abramovich, you still owe Abramovich $1.4 billion. That doesn't go away. That's still there might be legal ways to get out of that, but that tie is still there no matter what.
Yeah, well,
I didn't even know about that.
I don't know about that either.
It's why you're on the podcast.
It'll be interesting. I mean, for Chelsea, it's huge. I think if as much as we can, just from a Chelsea perspective, like this is huge for them, and a very kind of dangerous moment for the club.
Yeah.
So
also support us if we're in League Two in a couple of years.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into some match of the week business. Last week,
let's go.
Max got the right call with Sevilla beating Betis 2-1. Betis scoring on a free kick in the 95th minute to give Max the 2-1 correct scoreline.
Ridiculous. I wasn't watching. I was watching the Chelsea game. But
I texted you guys, though. I was like, let's go.
I was behind on my stream, so I was like, oh, Max, you ruined a sick goal. But it was just the
Betis goal. It was just the match of the week.
Just Max collecting his points.
So I'm catching up now, I feel like, because I was bottom. Maybe I'm tied now.
I think I have to check back through. I think it might be 3-3-4. No, 3-2-4.
Okay.
I believe, because I had a tie that week. So getting close. Actually, now good that we're finally earning some points.
Yeah.
It was a tough couple weeks. But it was a great game. I only was able to watch part of it since I was watching that Carabao Cup final, but honestly, a very competitive game, even just from watching the highlights. Both teams had plenty of chances. I was not disappointed with my 2-2 tie prediction. Watching that game, it seemed like it was just neck and neck with chances and whatnot.
Yeah.
And plenty of goals that Betis probably should have scored. So
I didn't realize it was a derby. I didn't realize Betis was in Sevilla. So it was great. It was like a very ferocious game. Everyone was just like out there just trying. Fekir had that crazy tackle. Do you see that?
Oh, from behind or whatever? Yeah.
It was just like they were jeering at the Sevilla players to kick it out because one of their players was down. And then Fekir, or like the other way around, Fekir didn't. And then you just got like slashed basically.
Yeah.
Actually, could have been a red. But it wasn't. It added to the flames, which was fun. But yeah, I don't know. I watched it. I thought it was a fun game.
That was good.
Myself. Exciting.
Yeah, it was good. I like to see Hector Bellerin with the new mullet. I haven't seen that yet, but looks good.
Adds to his mustache. Adds to the,
it's his flair. It's his personality.
Adds to the stature of Hector Bellerin.
Yeah, he's a statement player, so
he really is.
Falls in suit. All right, so this coming week, our match of the week will be Manchester United versus Manchester City.
The Derby.
Which
Derby.
should be exciting. And I think, not to jump ahead of any of your predictions, but City are obviously the clear favorites, but I think, still will be a very exciting game with all these stars out on the field. And honestly, a lot to lose for Manchester United. They've been so much on the downward spiral recently.
Yes, it's great.
That they don't want to be humiliated. And then also, big game for City, honestly, as well.
Yeah.
United are, on paper, a very good side. And with their recent loss to Tottenham, Liverpool are inching ever so closer to the top of the table.
Yeah.
So
close.
big game for
Top
both of
of the
them. So I started last week. Who wants to start? You got a prediction?
I'll start. I don't know. I kind of keep going back and forth on this one because
Right.
part of me is like, oh, City's going to humiliate them.
Okay.
But also, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, that's life, yeah.
But I will say 3-1 City, I think, is my thing. City need to win this game, and it is against definitely one of the best opponents in the Prem. I mean, top 4 team. And United just can't figure it out right now. But it's a big game for them, too. So we'll see. I bet they get a goal. Ronaldo, goal.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think I'm gonna go 3-0 City, honestly. Yeah, it's a tough call, honestly. Yeah, I'll stick with it. I'll go 3-0. I think City are so strong defensively. United by far have the weapons to score against City. They have Sancho, Rashford, Cristiano Ronaldo, Cavani, all these players. Yeah, Elanga now too. So all these players that can definitely do some serious damage. However, they haven't been clicking, and they've been kind of relying on single moments of individual play.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make a beautiful individual play against Manchester City, who have the best defense in the Premier League. So I think that'll be a challenge for them. And then offensively, City have all these weapons that do connect with each other. Mm-hmm. So I won't be surprised if they put 3 past United, if they put 3 past Harry Maguire and David De Gea. So I think I'm feeling 3-0.
Feeling 3-0. Okay. I'm feeling...
Be bold, Tommy.
Like 5-1.
What?
All right.
I think Man City's going to crush them. That's just because I think it's funny when... remember like 2 months ago, people said that the title race was over because Man City was 10 points out. And they haven't been struggling. It's just that the season's long,
Yeah.
And there's always these narratives around big games. It's like this is a must-win game. This is just another game because Man United are a mid-table team. You know why? Because they're in the middle of the table. And
No, they're in 4th, aren't they?
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
they're fourth, but they're
But they
actually.
But
Yeah,
they do.
When that happened?
I feel like they've been there, but like they do play like a.
I think they're a
table team. I feel like.
Yeah, and I think there are a couple games in hand. Like I think
Tottenham and Arsenal have some games.
They're in my mind they're in like 9th. They've been in 9th.
Yeah.
For
No,
like
they've
the
kind of
entire-
crept up randomly.
Yeah,
Because they've had poor performance after poor performance, but have somehow made up so much ground at the table.
I didn't realize they were 4th. Still, what did I say? 5-1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You said it.
yeah, I'll stick with it. It's like chess. I gotta.
You can't move it
I
back.
can't move it.
Finger off the piece.
Yeah, I think Manchester United Man City is the best team in the world right now to watch and to play and to see and to hear and to enjoy.
Yeah.
I think they're great, and I think there's a better chance of them being on. And when they're on, Manchester United are not going to catch up. I'm basically saying that it's like the Nash equilibrium. Man City's going to be on, and Man United is going to be off, and it's going to be an absolute destruction for them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't. I'm not versed in that equilibrium. But I will take your word for it. Yeah, I think that's probably a good shout.
Right.
City, they're a very good team.
They're pretty good. They're pretty
good. You were saying you watched Grealish had a good goal today?
Yeah.
With that in the FA Cup?
Yeah. I don't even know against who, like probably a 5th tier team. But yeah, he had an incredible goal. It was like a kind of a long pass from Foden, and he just like one-touched it to himself, and then just perfect finish. Weak foot. But
Grealish is also good.
Shout out Tottenham with their 1-0 loss to Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
they're out of the FA Cup. No trophies this year. So
that's a regular year. I feel like
that has to be some kind of curse, Like they're good, and every year it's just like
they beat City, then lost to Burnley, then beat Leeds 6-0 or something like that, 4-0.
4-0.
And then they lost to Middlesbrough. Yeah. That's a little bit of up and down movement, if I say
interesting.
So. Interesting. I can't seem to really find how that's happening.
That's so frustrating.
With like the same lineup too.
That's literally so frustrating.
Does not make any sense. But yeah, I mean that's a whole nother story. But
it's a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah. I think our predictions are locked in. So
we're all getting points.
Yeah.
So.
Or not.
Yeah. Wait.
No, we're all gonna get points.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Most likely,
yes.
We needed to up our score count, so we chose this game.
Yeah, Harry, you're in the regulation zone. If you lose, you're off the pod. We're gonna find someone else.
Just find someone else. Dang. All right. Well, yeah. Okay.
So we got one champion.
I think we started off playing for like a nickel. Now we're
you're off the pod.
We should put a bet on it.
Yeah.
You're off the pod.
Winner gets promoted to like ranks FC.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone just stays.
Solo pod. All right. Well, enough of this. Let's jump into what are we doing? Carabao Cup review. One of the craziest games I've ever watched, honestly.
Yeah.
We had Liverpool versus Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final, finishing 0-0 at full time, 0-0 after extra time, and then 11-10 Liverpool after penalties.
What a scoreline.
What a scoreline indeed.
So there was a lot in there.
There was a lot in there. I think let's just start
off with... a lot in that 0-0,
Let's start off with that. Let's just jump into kind of the 90th minute plus extra time and just kind of go through what happened. I think, honestly, for me, a couple like notable players of the match or men of the match.
Men of the match.
I think Edouard Mendy off the bat is the man of the match for me.
One of the greatest saves I've seen.
Unbelievable.
Let's break it down.
Yeah, so Naby Keita with a shot from way out, and then Mendy saved to his bottom right-hand corner.
Right.
The deflection straight to Sadio Mane about 3 yards out.
I turned away. I was like, oh, Liverpool.
Mane was running to the corner. He thought he scored.
And Mendy somehow jumped up and was able to deflect it from like 2 feet off the ground above the bar. I don't know how that happened, but one of the craziest saves ever. And honestly, he had a couple more good saves. He had that one save on a 1v1 versus Luis Diaz. Mm-hmm. He had another good save to his left on Van Dijk's header.
Yeah.
So kind of a crazy game and great performance from him. I think he only had that one error with that weird pass.
Mm.
Yeah, but then he made up with it
He kind of closed out the angle for Salah. So yeah, I mean, I think a crazy good game for him.
Yeah.
I got two more. If neither of you are going to jump in, and I'll keep talking happy.
Because
I want to talk about these guys. I think Mateo Kovacic, he has become so much more of kind of like a bruiser in the midfield, which is huge. And he really is able to, kind of be a little bit of an enforcer and kind of shake up these players a bit.
He times every tackle perfectly.
He had some crazy good tackles. And he's not really known for his defensive ability, but I don't think Mateo Kovacic, honestly, is really known for much. I think he's criminally underrated.
Oh, yeah.
And one of Chelsea's best players. And so I think he had some crazy good defensive actions. He also kind of took that tactical foul that probably saved us a goal.
Yeah.
And I think he was kind of a star player. And then also Kai Havertz. I think he played the whole game, scored his penalty. He was so close. He kind of missed that 1v1 that he was offsides for anyway. And then he had 2 goals called back that were also offside.
Yeah,
and so I think that was kind of the painful part of this game, is that there were so many chances. And I'll let you guys speak in a sec, but I think basically him being up top really opened so many doors for Chelsea, and they played so
definitely.
fluidly. And even though Chelsea lost and they didn't score and they had all these goals called back against them, I thought it was a great game for Chelsea. I thought they really, really played well. And I think for the better part of the game, they outperformed Liverpool, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can riff on your initial thoughts.
I think this is the best I saw Chelsea attack, I feel like, all season. And that was like Pulley, Mount, and Havertz were so interchangeable. Like they're all just like kind of floating around constantly. And Mendy for me is the man of the match, but also if Mount finishes maybe like 2 of those chances, he's man of the match for me. But he should have scored a few times.
It's he went from potential glory to really a terrible game.
Yeah. Which is, that's how it is. But he played well, he just didn't finish,
right.
I feel like. And because he didn't finish, he played horribly.
Right.
But I think Pulisic played pretty well all game.
Good, yeah.
Kai played very well. I was talking to Harry about this a little bit, but I thought Reece looked kind of rough, and Harry was saying, like, obviously he just came back from injury, like he's going to look rough and everything. But
first couple touches.
Struggled.
Yeah.
It was a little off the pace, I think.
Yeah.
I think that'll come back. I think it's great that he was able to come on in a cup final against Liverpool and, not have any huge errors or anything after being out for 2 months. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a little tough.
Yeah.
Not his best performance, but I think it's, on the up for him. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I thought the thing about Liverpool is, and rarely do you see them being so exposed, but Chelsea's attack really showed how exposed their back four were, because Trent is usually in a very advanced position, and a lot of times it was a 3-on-3. And it's still tough with Van Dijk in the middle of that 3-on-3. But we did an incredible job. Probably 3 or 4 times, 3 times getting in behind with 2 shots from Mount and 1 shot from Pulisic, which could have been finished. All 3 of those could have been finished. And then a 4th, Lukaku, straight through, which
I kind of want to talk about that.
You want to talk about how he's kind of onside?
I think that's kind of like the next thing is the ref. We can talk about just like the refereeing in the game in general, or the calls that were made. Go for that one
every
first.
Cup final. Yeah, this one, Lukaku basically is just played in a simple through ball, and he seems basically even with Van Dijk. He puts the shot away. Immediately the flag goes up, and they go to review it. Very quick review that they kind of draw some lines, and they're like, oh, he was a centimeter off. And it seemed like it was Lukaku's edge of his arm, it was edge of his sleeve was technically. But if you like a couple angles on Twitter, on a couple other pictures of it, Van Dijk's shoe can be easily considered a just like keeping him onside. And it's how is that the camera angle at this point of VAR? Like VAR has to, we have to have more cameras, if they're gonna call that offsides, the sideline referee shouldn't have called that offsides if it's that close. That's
not what they're supposed to do these days.
Supposed to do, which I'm glad that they let it play out. I guess, that's not what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it was kind of confirming that he was offsides when, that's not.
I think for me where it gets confusing is Lukaku, is that really giving him that much of an advantage to be that much farther in front? And I know you no pun intended, but you have to draw the line somewhere. There has to be offsides at some point.
Yes.
For me, I'm okay, he's not really getting that much of an advantage from that position. How is he supposed to not lean when he's running? That's also
yes.
it's, I don't know, it's a very tough situation. And it's hard because, they keep saying that they want to give advantage to the attackers and stuff. And that is kind of a perfect instance where it's basically even, basically other than a centimeter.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that based off those lines, he wasn't offsides, but I'm just saying that seems so harsh and so just kind of defeating in the game.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think honestly the reverse of that is Liverpool's goal that got called back for Van Dijk being offside. I think that one also is harsh and kind of frustrating to watch, but he was clearly offsides.
He was clearly offsides, and he set a pick while
Yeah,
he was offsides.
he's holding
Right,
Reese,
no, and I
In
think
an offside position, yeah.
right, and he was clearly offsides. It was very visible, and so that seems like a much easier call.
But that's an example of VAR seeing a mistake that referees wouldn't really see, and that's like, by the rule, that's offsides. But Lukaku's instance before VAR, no way is that offsides, you know, and it's really like shrunk the line or just like made it really precise of what is offsides versus before it was like, if you're kind of in line, that's a goal and we can all celebrate, you know, give some advantage to the attacker. And I think going forward, maybe instead of lining up a sleeve, maybe if their torsos are in line, then hey, give a slight advantage to the attacker so we can see more goals and that goal doesn't get called back. That's kind of ridiculous.
I think one thing that they could do, which I haven't thought of before, and I don't think this would have helped in this situation or helped, I guess, us as Chelsea fans in this situation, but since the referee did put up the flag and he initially believed it was offsides, it would be, you know, in American football, how they just, you know, they have to have enough evidence to overturn the call on the field, and the call on the field has more weight.
Yes.
And so since he had that flag up, and they look at the monitor, and maybe they don't draw out the lines, but they look at a different camera angle or something from kind of right even with it, and they're like, okay, yeah, there's not enough proof to overturn this call, so it will be offside. Right. And so for the kind of reverse of that, if the ref left his flag down, there wouldn't be enough.
I love that actually.
Information to like overturn it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And I think Tommy,
not
you
perfect,
were
but
saying,
it seems it just would give.
It's better than what
it would
they have
give
now.
the attacker kind of the benefit of the doubt in a 50-50 situation like that.
Yeah, and I think the ref actually did what I think they're instructed to do. He's supposed to let the play go until there's like a stoppage, and the goal was a stoppage, and so I think VAR should be used for egregiously wrong calls, not for things like that where it's like maybe it's wrong, but it's like it goes back to your thing where it's like it's too close to call, and whatever the call is on the field, like maybe they should just stick with it. But then when we're like down to like measuring like shoulders, like someone has a bigger shoulder, it's like
it's hard because it's not really a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And I think also, in all honesty, we're always gonna miss out on a call that we would have liked with VAR or without it. So I don't know. Honestly, it would be, on average, I don't know if there's more like offsides goals or something that are called back than there were before for being offside. I don't really know what the stat is like, but it would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because that would be more telling, since before, you know, it'd be like, okay, we watched the replay, they were clearly onside, but they were called offside. Oh, we need VAR. Now it's kind of the opposite. So honestly, I don't really know.
Yeah.
It would just be nice. It'd be nice to have less goals called back.
It'd be nice if instead of the sideline referee being instructed to call it offsides, have like a little like, hey, check that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's offsides, but check that. And then if they check it and it's obviously offsides, then call it off, you know? Something like that where it's quick. And then the Lukaku goal would stand. And like if Liverpool had a similar goal, I would want that to stand. You know, that's kind of ridiculous for us to lose on that.
Well, the unfortunate part is I think we've seen certain teams get away with more like using VAR than other teams. Like we saw the City handball over the weekend where it's a blatant handball. And this isn't the first time like City has gotten away with like calls like this. Like whether it's tackles in the box against Arsenal, I think there were like 2 that were blatant penalties. And then they actually got a penalty in that same game for like the same foul that they did on Arsenal. And so I feel like certain teams, Liverpool included, get away with like more calls, or they're favored more, if that makes sense.
We'll have to look into the data for that, because I feel like
I don't know. I don't have enough to speak on that, honestly.
Yes.
I do think that handball by Rodri was pretty blatant. I don't know how that was
that's annoying.
a handball. Like that seems like where VAR should come into play. I don't know. I don't know enough on like who's getting what calls. I do know that Naby Keita should have gotten a red card for that tackle on Trevor Chalobah.
Oh my god.
Chalobah had to get 6 stitches for that.
On his
groin or whatever, his inner thigh.
Ouch.
Well, he's cleating down on his thigh.
And I think the thing is, they're like, okay, it was a 50-50. Neither of them touched the ball.
Yeah.
But Naby Keita touched Chalobah. Chalobah didn't touch Naby Keita.
Chalobah was going for the ball, but made sure he didn't come down on Keita.
Yes,
and
it's a dangerous play.
Put his cleat right on his thigh.
Jesus, yeah, that was
at high
egregious.
speed. And I
just watched Jackass, and that was worse.
Yeah, no, seriously, I don't know how that's not a red card or not anything. They were just they just did a 50.
Oh, he didn't get a yellow?
No, he didn't get anything. They just were like, okay, get up.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, okay, it was a 50-50. Both went in
keep
for
on
it.
playing after that?
Yeah, he went down for a couple minutes and they gave him some treatment, but then he kept playing.
What a beast.
I know, but what the heck?
Yeah.
How is that not anything? Okay, if you're not gonna, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. That's annoying.
So, yeah.
What about Trent and Kai's little face off?
That was
you guys see that?
That was so odd. I was like, what are you guys doing?
And Trent's whipping his head, like get off of me and stuff.
Kai does that a lot of times. Kai, he loves to just walk into if he gets tackled and he gets up, he doesn't try to move out of the way. He kind of just gets up as if they're not there, and then he's like, what are you doing, man? What are you? You're in my way, and he starts stuff like that all the time.
I think it's funny when those two players go head to head like that. There's some huge macho guys.
Yeah.
Where the reality is they both are just gonna talk smack to each other, but also not do anything.
Not do anything. Yeah.
They got in that situation. Okay, now what?
Yeah, I know.
We're about to fight, but we know neither of us are going to, so we just have to wait for other people to get here to kind of bail us out of this awkward situation.
It's very awkward. It's all right, now what? Yeah. I thought a cooler moment was Trent and Reece went back to back in the penalties. And that felt like a really cool moment because they're two of the best right backs in the world. Yeah. And Trent smashed it, and then it was the pressure on Reece. I was like, come on, Reece. And he smashed it too.
And both keepers guessed the right direction and missed it.
Both just
because they were just two good penalties.
Just shushing the crowd. That was awesome. I thought that was a cool moment.
Yeah, I think we can jump into penalties in general.
Yeah.
Went through the whole team. Everyone scored except for
Kepa,
who, for those of you who didn't watch the game, Kepa was subbed on in the 119th minute as a penalty specialist to hopefully kind of give us the advantage. And I think we can talk about whether that was the right call or not. I have no problem with it. I think Mendy had a great game, and so you could say, okay, he was going to do that, but at the end of he was going to perform well in penalties. At the end of the day, I feel like penalties are such a toss-up anyway.
Yeah.
That putting Kepa in doesn't really hurt that much. I think, maybe it gets into Liverpool's head a little bit. They're like, okay, yeah, maybe throws them off a little bit. And Kepa honestly does, on paper, have a very good penalty shootout percentage.
Yeah, it was 37% saved versus Mendy's 14%. It was something crazy.
So it's very substantial. And I have no problem with that because it's really all you can do.
Yeah.
To really have an impact in a penalty shootout tactically is very hard.
And we've seen it work before, too.
So I think it was the right call.
Yeah, we've seen other teams do that. I think Netherlands used to do that with Krul. They took out Silasen in the Euros and stuff, and then
Krul was their guy.
Yeah. I think 2 times. But, yeah. It was just unfortunate that Kepa didn't save any, but neither did Liverpool's. Kelleher didn't save anything, and they didn't make a sub.
Yeah,
so.
It was honestly one of the better. I feel like Kepa could have saved a few. One of the more embarrassing moments was Van Dijk comes up. Kepa tries to get in his head by standing 75% on the right side, and he stays there. And Van Dijk mashes it to the top corner, and Kepa probably could have saved it. It was there, but he just was starstruck. Van Dijk just went out to the left side where he was.
I know, that was crazy. Honestly, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
By Van Dijk. I think, he had the best chance on, I think, Kunate's pen. He got a hand to it, but he was kind of down low already, so it was hard to get enough.
Is that the one that was kind of behind him almost?
Yeah, above him. And it was kind of, it was hard to get enough power on it to really stop the shot.
Yeah, well, he got enough power on his shot.
Yeah, he got a little too much. Yeah.
It was a goal kick.
Unfortunate that it ended that way, but what a pathetic penalty.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was before he was getting up, I was like, a lot of times goalkeepers are pretty good at penalties since they practice against each other, and I do think that's generally true.
Yes.
Pep always says that Ederson is the best at
best.
penalties on their team.
Yep.
Yeah. You just got put on.
Neuer
film.
used
Right.
to take pens for
Right.
Bayern.
And I think a lot of keepers are very good at them. And I don't doubt that Kepa is good on his day, but it was just like a bad decision mentally to try to put it up high. You know, I think
Yeah.
the move always is just to put it like low to the side.
Yeah. And if you can, do a little stutter to see where the goalie
Right.
goes. Honestly, the fact that 21 players scored consecutively is also pretty crazy, because
I know.
penalties is usually it's like a 75% conversion rate. So for 21 players over and over again, and not like not a few, most of them were like
Phenomenal.
obviously gonna be goals. Like there's no way you save that.
Right.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, they're all.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. They're all very good penalties, and I was excited. You know, I think sometimes I get a little nervous with Chelsea players stepping up to the spot.
Yeah, when I got to like pass.
Yeah, like Timo Werner, Lukaku,
Yeah.
Trevor Chalobah. But
Timo's
honestly,
almost got saved.
they all had like good penalties. Timo's almost did get saved, but you know he scored.
Yeah.
Lukaku had a very nice penalty. Chalobah had a very nice penalty.
Yeah, which is
So I thought it was very good all around, honestly, from all of them. Rudiger, you know, I was like, oh gosh, he's gonna blast it over the top. But
Rudiger go like fourth or something.
no, he had a
maybe
great.
sixth?
No, I think it was like 6 maybe,
Yeah,
but it was like
he
very
was up there.
cool,
Yeah, cool.
coolly taken penalty.
Right. They're all professionals. It's just
Right.
like and that's when it, like, these players are some of the best in the world, because it's like they don't practice penalties, you know, but it's mentality. They go up there and they do a job.
Yeah,
They place it correctly.
I think that's kind of why my take on the whole thing is, yes, it's frustrating for Chelsea to lose and to lose like that, but they were toe to toe the whole game. I think they had more chances. They got unlucky on a couple of calls, and honestly, Chelsea they've been playing a little bit better recently, but they've kind of had a couple tough months in overall.
Yeah.
And so for them to kind of come in and put that performance up against Liverpool, who have been playing very, very well lately, I think is a good sign.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, they play Luton Town in the FA Cup tomorrow, where I assume, you know, Timo Werner, maybe Callum Hudson-Odoi and Lukaku will start or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see over the weekend, I would like to see Pulisic, Havertz for sure. And I would also like to see Mount, because I do think that he played well in that system. He played well with Havertz and with Pulisic. He just didn't put him away. And I think hopefully we can just, you know, crack that down to he wasn't on that day, or he got a little bit unlucky.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see him lose that spot, since he didn't really play well.
Oh, yeah. I feel like Kai and Mount have to play if we're gonna go for these big games. I'm glad that Kai started, and then either Pulisic or Ziyech is kind of that third spot. Yeah, kind of heartbreaking that's the second cup final we lost to Liverpool in like 2 years, both on penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Or that it was the Super Cup, or not Super Cup, is it? Whatever it's Super Cup, which is
Europa
final.
versus Champions League.
Europa versus Champions League a couple of years ago, we lost on penalties, but at
Lost
least
the FA Cup to
Leicester.
Arsenal.
Leicester.
Yeah, but the year before.
The year
wasn't it?
before, and Arsenal.
and then
Yeah, just
Leicester.
a lot of we've been to a lot of cup finals. We have a Club World Cup and a Champions League in that stretch, but also
Right.
4 losses, which is kind of heartbreaking. But I think we definitely proved that we can beat Liverpool, and we're there. I think just like in the future, we need
3 ties on the year with them.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah,
2-2, 1-1, and
whenever
0-0.
Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool play one another, and sometimes like Tottenham and Arsenal, those games, they are great games. Those are some of the best games you watch all year.
Yeah. Except for Chelsea City this year.
Yeah, frustrating.
I know those were kind of tough ones, but no, I do agree, and that's why leading up to it, I was like, wow, you know, Chelsea have to play Liverpool to get past or to get this championship. But in the back of my mind, I was like, well, Chelsea kind of always show up for these big games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think good game overall. Credit to
Here.
Congratulations to Liverpool.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well fought game. So,
Yeah. It's a coin flip.
yeah.
So, yeah. I wanted to quickly talk to you
Go for
guys
it.
about Lewandowski. Like, Bayern is basically going to talk to him about, you know, contract negotiations. I think his contract expires next year. And obviously they don't want to lose him on a free. So he's either going to be at Bayern for maybe 2 or 3 more years, or he's going to be gone this summer. And I just wanted to see what you guys were like thinking. So my thoughts are we sign him for maybe 2 or 3 more years because there's really no one else in the market that I would get right now, I feel like.
Haaland? Not?
Yes, Haaland's the only one, but I don't think Bayern is willing to do that. And maybe someone like Schick or like Haller is a good one because I think he's like 28 or 29, and that's like the perfect amount of like he's good enough, you know, for the next maybe like 3-4 years until you find like the true like heir, you know. But like I don't know, what would you guys?
I would love to see Bayern go big for either Haaland or kind of a different position, but Florian Wirtz. I would love to see them go big for either of those two players. You know, both of them, put them back 70 mil.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if they can.
But, you know, they bought Sane for a lot of money. They bought Lucas Hernandez for a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's possible.
Yeah, Hernandez was 80 mil.
Right. So
I think he's our biggest signing.
And I think, you know, they're looking at this. If Lewandowski does leave, I think them getting Haaland is not out of the picture at all.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that if they're getting rid of Lewandowski, they would be bringing in someone big. I mean, they have to.
Yeah. Well, they do have Chupo in the reserves, so come
Yeah.
on.
Well,
That is
Chupo might leave too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think not to disrespect Lewandowski, he's one of the better strikers, probably the best striker in the last 10 years. But the amount of chances Bayern creates, I think you put Haller in there and you'll still do all right, you know. And it is really, can Bayern win the Champions League? With their team, they're going to win the Bundesliga for the foreseeable future. They're not in any trouble. So, how old is Lewandowski? Why does he want to? What's the deal with him leaving?
He's probably 33. But I feel like there's always the rumors of Madrid. Like that's been there like
he
forever.
wants to do like a couple of years in Madrid.
Or Premier League. Honestly, like City, Arsenal need a striker. Honestly, like that would be. I mean, I don't know what his transfer value is, but it's probably like 40, 50, something like that. That's doable.
Yeah.
And if they get 2 years out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like kind of always rumored his next step is Real Madrid, but at this point in time, that seems very unlikely.
Yes.
Since they have Benzema, they're probably going to get Mbappe.
Yeah.
They're already rumored with Haaland potentially. You know, I don't know if that's just rumor or not, but that seems kind of off the table. And so I do think kind of a Premier League move looks more enticing. I don't know if he would ever go back to Dortmund.
Yeah, Sule and
probably not, but that would be
Leva.
kind of, I could see him doing that as well. You know, I don't, you know, Bayern wouldn't like that obviously, but if he runs his contract down, it's not up to them. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that would be tough. Him on City.
I do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know how you do on like he's not a Bayern and City play so separately or so differently that I don't even know if he's kind of Pep's striker. He's very like he's not one-dimensional compared to other strikers, but compared to how City plays, Lewa is very one-dimensional.
Yeah, but City don't like to play with. They like to play very like tactical, you know, and they don't play with a striker really for the most part.
Which is why I don't think he would fit.
But I think he would fit because when Pep coached Bayern, they played pretty much the same way, and Pep would install like a lot of tactical players like Thiago or Javi Martinez and stuff like that, and Leva still scored like a ton. So I think he would get like score like 30 goals. I think for City.
Yeah, I mean honestly, I agree, and I think the similarity between Manchester City and Bayern Munich is that, like Tommy was saying, they both create so many chances, and it's not that Lewandowski is bad and he's nowhere near that, but I do think it does help him that he plays on phenomenal teams, and kind of always has. Or I guess, while he's been with Bayern, you know, they've always been Bayern.
I think half of his skill isn't his finishing ability, which is great. It's like his movement and getting into those channels and finding the space, and really just like how I think of Bayern. That difference between Bayern and Man City is Bayern plays a lot of those like chip through balls that Lewandowski takes down and finishes, versus Man City's way of scoring is more finding dribblers and quick players on the sideline, and then quick cutbacks, which Bayern also does, but more so the like Kimmich balls into the top, where you have Muller and Lewandowski and Sane all like attacking, and it's just like crashing the boards essentially.
Yeah, City plays very on the ground, like very, very few crosses for the most part.
Yeah,
I guess they have no one in the middle to finish them, so it's just shots.
Oh, I like that, Adam. I think either way. I think I could see him leaving. I think it's probably more likely that he'll stay, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not, I don't know really what he has to gain by leaving. Probably more money and more, if he wants to try out a different league. But also he's still competing at the highest level with Bayern Munich, where he's been for quite a while. So I could easily see him just kind of re-upping his contract. I don't think in my mind, that's kind of the more likely thing to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he doesn't leave.
All right, well, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all for listening and for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Peace, boxers.
Let's go!
All right.